All right, wait, hang on. I can't review that just yet. Gotta focus on this one. All right, so thank you everybody for joining me for episode 10 of Claws on the new Pouya album, 5-5. I swear I didn't plan it like this. I swear. But, it's amazing. We've made it this far. Let's try and make it to 100. Let's not try and just push for 10 more. Let's try and make it 10 times as much. So, on to the review. Today, we are reviewing 5-5, and I have to say, coming fresh off of a tour and multiple projects that he's been working on, one, Southside Suicide 2 with the Suicide Boys, and the previous Fat Nick and Pouya project that they brought out called Drop Out of High School. These guys have been making so much music together for years, it's like, when is he going to drop something on his own? And now Pouya has finally decided to drop something on his own again, which is amazing, because his delivery and his ferocity on a track is just something that you don't expect from a guy that's so dang skinny. This guy looks like skin and bones. I saw him try to take on somebody at one of his shows once, and it looked like you had a 5-year-old just going up to the largest man in the gym and say, "Fight me." It's hilarious. But this guy's stature may be small, but his freaking presence on a track is something so gargantuan, it's ridiculous. I got a lot of love for him. Ever since I found out about him when I first listened to the Southside Suicide project with Suicide Boys over a year ago, it was just something that introduced me to his style and how openly just, oh man, he's like someone got a red lantern ring and then put it on a rapper. He's just filled with rage and he wants to throw it out on the beat. This man harmonizes and it sounds better than most rappers that harmonize that are out now. It's just the way that he understands how both things go. He grabs a lot of Bone Thugs and Harmony inspiration, at least from what I can grab, and it's very interesting. But onto the meat and potatoes of the album. It's almost like you're waking up in the morning and then you're going downstairs. After you wake up, which is basically the beginning of the album. The beginning of the album starts off with a song called Aftershock. And this is the wake-up sequence of this album. And he wakes up and he's like, you know what? No one can touch me. I'm ready to do things and I want to take on the world. And as I take on the world, I'm going to say, you know what? I'm better than him, and no one's touching me. And like a lot of rappers that do, he's actually one of the people that can prove it. Some people say that they're best, and they're not the best. But, on to others. The second song on here is called Void, and this is more or less like the moment you find out that everything that happened the day before when you were trying to go to sleep and wish that everything would go away came back. And this is basically talking about how he's been wanting to move on to other women, at least basically on the chorus, and he's just trying to get past it, but he's reminiscing about old times, and he's just trying to do better with himself and do better with his life and his music, but it's just becoming more and more difficult. The feature list is very minimal on this album, which is actually kind of shocking. On the previous album, there was pretty much a feature on every other song. Now, the only person that's featured on this album is Knight Lavelle, hailing from Ottawa, Ontario, Canada, and thank God he's on here, because this man has some of the smoothest tracks. His voice is really gruff and deep. It's kind of like, he's like a Canadian Lil Bibby, except his music is a little bit more interesting. And just the way that he delivers on the track is just butter the whole way. And it keeps you interested. And the beat is just, it's banging. They brought out a banger and they delivered with every bit of it. One of the main singles from this album is a song called Daddy Issues. And it's pretty much what you would expect, talking to a girl that has daddy issues and trying to lay her and everything, but it's interesting. It's a good track, but I don't like delving into details about things like that. He does well with the descriptions and the lyrics, so I'll leave everyone else to find out what he's saying. One of the other main singles for this album is a song called Handshakes, and it's basically talking about how everybody's fake, and he doesn't He doesn't mess with fake people. He really doesn't. His entire friend circle is made up of some of the realest people in the underground scene right now. And even most of his acquaintances are some of the realest. He knows Bones. He knows the Suicide Boys. He knows Ghostmane. He knows Night Lavelle. He even knew Lil Peep. And a lot of the sad tracks on this album, the stuff that has a real diving into his mental, it pretty much harnesses the kind of sadness that you would feel after losing a friend. As close as Lil Peep was to everybody, I'm not really surprised that he went into that kind of detail. He deserved to have us see what was inside of his mind when he was dealing with that sadness. Now, he never really straight up said that Peep's death had affected him this way, but knowing as a fan and knowing as other people around him were feeling the same way and they wrote it into their music, some people did straight up tributes to Peep, and rest in peace to the man. He deserves to have some kind of rest, but there's a point where people are overdoing it, and Pouya definitely did not overdo it. He made just enough of a reference to it that it was him feeling bad, and it's a lot of reflection upon his life, but it's also on the recent events of it. It's just glanced over. It's barely talked about, because you don't want to try and remember those things when you're trying to get past it. Now, the album, as this album shows as the day in the life of Pouya goes on, it ends off with a song called Suicidal Thoughts in the Back of a Cadillac Part 2. I don't really know of the first part because I haven't really looked into much of his music. I heard the Underground Underdog album, but it didn't have a song on there to my recollection. But it's a very dark song. It's very upbeat, and it's catchy, but it's a very dark song. It talks about how although he's reached all these milestones, although he's gotten these accolades, and although he's reached such a large mass of people with the talent that he has and the people that he's met and then reached their fans as well, he still feels somehow negative that in the end he doesn't feel like what he's done matters. And this is basically his going to bed sequence, and how he lays down and goes to bed realizing that he doesn't think he's going to make that much of an impact on his life or in the hip-hop game. And honestly, he's made a lot more of an impact than most people have in a matter of minutes than others have in a few seconds. And there are so many people that come out of the woodwork nowadays that just look like tattered rainbow people, of which I will not name names. Anyway, all in all, this album is a very great experience. It's a decent vision into what it is like inside of his mind, to go inside of his skull and view through his own eyes what it's like to go through his day and understand that although you may feel untouchable, although you may feel like that underdog that is finally reaching the pinnacle and doing what it is you need to do for your fans and for yourself and for your family, and to achieve that great, rich accolade that you've always wanted, to make all that money, it can't really be solved overnight, and you still deal with your problems every day. All in all, 5-5 is a fantastic album, like I said. I really enjoyed it, and I hope everyone else, if they decide to listen to it, enjoys it too. Apparently this album was put out as an album and also a mixtape, because I've seen it on a couple of streaming sites too, which is a little strange because he put it out as an album, so I don't know why people are pawning it as a mixtape, because the man deserves to at least have some kind of purchase, because he's been waiting so long to put out an album that was a solo effort. I think it's been 2.5 years since his last solo effort. So I'll put an iTunes link below and also a Google Play link below, like I did yesterday. And hopefully you guys will listen to what exactly he sounds like and enjoy it the same way I did. I'll also put a playlist link below for the album, mixtape, whatever people want to call it. I see it as an album because it's a whole image of what he wants to tell the listeners. And I think that's pretty much it. So this is episode 10. 10! Ain't that something? We made 10 videos. And I've gotten a few subscribers, and the people that I know are sharing the videos. It's awesome. You guys are the best. I can never thank you guys enough. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. And as you can pretty much tell by the intro, I'm going to be reviewing the new Logic mixtape, Bobby Tarantino 2. That'll be coming out on Tuesday. I wish I could do it a little bit sooner, but I wanna think about what exactly he's doing with these songs. And although it may seem very run-of-the-mill, he's definitely done something different than he has before. So with that being said, I will see everybody on Tuesday when I release episode 11. Oops, excuse me, 11. My goodness. Episode 11 of my show Claws. And until then, I will see everybody on Tuesday. Peace.